Well, good morning, and wow, look at this room. I remember, Jolly, when we were there at the Hyatt, and there was a few hundred people, but we all fit very nice and neatly in a room. And even last year, I think there was 800 people, but we were packed still in that room at conference or at the Hyatt. And then now this morning, when I learned that we were over here in the convention center, this is when you know you made it as a conference. And so thank you all for being here. Jolly, thank you for the leadership of you and your team and putting this together. At the ARC of Indiana, we really do appreciate our partnership with Indiana IEP, and I will say I personally, and I know the ARC as well, all of my colleagues, we really depend on Indiana IEP and their leadership and their expertise in the field of education and kind of helping us guide through this treacherous waters of education. I used to think Medicaid was hard until I got involved in education. I would take Medicaid any day to education because there's so many different things that are affecting the work that you do. And if you hear nothing else of what I say today, please know how much the ARC of Indiana appreciates and supports the work that you do, each and every one of you in this room, each and every day, because you are having a profound impact on the lives of so many people, and so many people that you may never see again after high school, but know that they will always remember their time in high school and hopefully reflect back on that with a very positive energy. Over the last few years, as we have, again, worked with Indiana IEP and looked at this conference, it's really become clear that, again, you in this room are really masters of all trades. Each and every day, you are asked or forced to kind of look within your toolbox to see what tools you have to react to a certain situation, to guide a student in a different way, and to really implement some of the policies and procedures that are forced upon you. And I really think that this conference does everything that it needs to do to kind of, again, give you a variety of tools in your toolbox to be very, very successful. And just looking at the conference over the last 2 days, I hope you guys feel the same way because I think this conference is one of the best that you've had, Jolly. This past summer, the ARC of Indiana worked very closely with a lot of leaders with the graduation pathways. And so how many of you are familiar with the graduation pathways requirements that was passed in December? So it was really interesting to me because as we worked all summer, again, along the State Teachers Association, the principals, the superintendents, the school boards, all of us were very we supported the concept that we wanted to make sure students left high school with a diploma and with the skills that they needed to be successful in whatever they chose next, whether that be a 4-year college, 2-year college, vocational training, the Erskine Green Training Institute, or a job. We wanted them to be successful. But the area of concern that was, I thought, the voice that came through loud and clear is we need a paved pathway before we require this. We need to know how we're going to implement this. That last day in December when the State Board of Education was really discussing and taking testimony, we spent about 6.5 hours listening to testimony. We had about roughly 65 people get up, parent after parent, principal after principal, teacher after teacher, superintendent after superintendent, expressing this concern. We had 9 people, roughly, who got up in strong support of it. And so mid-morning, I was like, why is the school board putting us through this? They know they're going to vote against it. Let's just call it a day so we can all get back to the work that we need to be doing. But then, right after the lunch break, it became clear that, yes, they were listening to all the testimony, but this was kind of already a done deal. And so it was really shocking to me that the vote was so overwhelmingly in support of passing this graduation requirements. And it really, again, it was the teachers that I really thought about because it is you who have to implement now these new policies and procedures without a real path on how you're going to be doing it. Hopefully all of that comes later. But I think, again, so much is put on you each and every day to make sure that you're implementing things that you expressed concern about, that you knew isn't going to work, And I just want to make sure that you know that the ARC of Indiana is working right there alongside you. And we want to work with you very, very closely in making sure that we make the most of bad situations, and that we make the most, because I think at the end of the day, all of us want to make sure that all students in our schools have a wonderful opportunity past high school and make the most of their lives and be as successful and independent as possible. How many of you in this room knew in high school or younger that you wanted to work in the field of education? That always amazes me, because so many of us had no idea what we wanted to do in junior high or high school. I have a lot of friends who work as education as their profession, and I remember back in high school and even younger, they knew that they wanted to be a teacher. I knew at that age that I didn't want to be a teacher because I was never blessed with the patience that I thought you needed to work in this field, and so again, I applaud you for what you do. But I really, again, want to go back to the impact you have on students. It's always nice. At the ARC of Indiana, we work with what we call self-advocates, people with disabilities who help us further the mission of the ARC of Indiana. And so we talk to the self-advocates a lot about their experience in education, in high school, and none of them reflect upon their time and say, oh my gosh, it was wonderful, it was easy, I'd go back and do it again. I've never heard that. But what I do hear is it was hard. I didn't know I was going to make it. I don't know, I would never want to do it again. But what they also say is, if it wasn't for, and then they fill in the blank with a Mrs. Smith, a Mr. Carr, a teacher, a counselor, a principal, if it wasn't for somebody within that building that believed in that student, set the bar high, told them that they could achieve it, and worked right there along with them to make sure that they were able to relate to the subject matter and put it in terms that they could understand and be successful in. If it wasn't for them, they wouldn't be there. And so again, applause to you. Applause to you for wanting to be the people who make that difference. And again, there are so many people that once they leave high school, you will probably never see them again, but you will always be a very fond memory in their history and their success, because they do look back upon high school and they can think of that one person that has really made them successful, and that they look back with a lot of admiration and respect. And so please know that the ARC of Indiana shares that too. Your work is hard. We want to be right along with you in every single community around this state to be successful and help you have that positive impact. Please contact us at the local level with our community providers and our chapters, or again at the ARC of Indiana level as well. We appreciate the work that you do. We know you have a great set of workshops here today that again is going to add to your toolbox to be successful. Don't hesitate to use them. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask for help and guidance. And again, thank you for the work that you do. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much.